How sophisticated can you be with a troll doll? I don't think very. Hello everyone and welcome to the 45th episode of the Blind Pinterest Challenge, the series where I recreate crafts and DIY projects from Pinterest without any instructions. Because I'm proper good at crafts, some might call me the master of crafting.
Who?
And I don't mind that title. I take that title and I wear it with pride. You know, pretty much 95% of the Blind Pinterest Challenge episodes go amazingly well. In fact, almost 100% of them. I very rarely have a really bad episode. It just doesn't happen. I'm that good. Okay, so the first one I want to try. I feel like I'm cheating just a tiny bit because they've made these like little balloons, kind of balloon models, but out of an actual balloon. So it's given me some kind of steps on how to make it, but I'm assuming you would use these in like model making or something else. It's obviously a ping pong ball, some sort of wire and a balloon, and we'll just see if Ant can master little tiny balloons in this episode. Another thing I want to try is this flower set within a log resin piece, and I think they've turned it into some sort of chain. I don't know whether I want mine as a chain, like I don't know whether theirs is a necklace or something, but I've got some really large wooden discs in the studio and I might turn that into like, I don't know, some sort of like placemat or something. Just very like nature vibes, and who doesn't love nature? Another thing I want to try is this little troll doll thing with flowers coming out of its head, mainly because it is the cutest thing and the silliest thing I think I've ever seen for a long time. I'm assuming this is one of them dolls that has, you know, the like tuft of really colourful hair. I think it's one of them. They've chopped the head off and replaced it with flowers for some reason and decorated it. I think that's a really clever idea, super cute, and it's very me. It's my kind of vibe and I really enjoy it. And I feel like I'm on a bit of a nature roll at the moment. I don't know why. I very rarely go outside. But I quite like these. They're little paintings of obviously like flowers or gardens and stuff, and they've made these little frames out of like twigs and sticks and some twine. I think it looks very rustic. I think this will be very cheap. It's a very cheap craft, which I love cheap crafts. And I just think it's very quaint. I hope I can do it. Usually when I see something like this and it's very kind of cutesy and lovely, mine never... it just doesn't have the same feel. But hopefully I'll get mine at least somewhere close to what they've got theirs. And just like that, I'm back. And before we get into this, and before we get into these crafts, I need to explain some things. So the first thing I need to explain is we are still in a heat wave. And the studio is like 1,000 degrees today, okay? So I'm melting. So if I look disheveled, that is why. Honestly, I'm so hot. I had no sleep last night because it's been that hot. I feel like I'm sat in an oven. I feel like the heating's on like full blast 24/7 and I can't cool down. Okay, I've got all the windows open, I've got fans on, so if it's loud in here, I can only apologise. And if I look a sweaty, gross mess, I can only apologise. But I am literally trying my best. And then secondly, my face might look a little bit shiny and a little bit flaky in some places because I had a chemical peel the other day.
Yeah, bracky.
Because as I'm getting older, my skin is starting to betray us.
Look at me!
So I'm trying to beautify myself whilst also baking in 1,000,000 degree heat. But anyway, moving on to some crafts.
Finally.
I thought we would try and do the little balloon ping pong ball thing, which they've given me little instructions for, but I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing with it. So I've got a ping pong ball here, and I think first I want to just create like a nice hole in the bottom of it. And then I've got some wire here. Should I do this first or should I do this after? You know what, I'll do that after I glue the balloon on. I've got a gold, a red and an orange. This one's bigger. I'll try a small one first. Hang on, I'm going to have a look at the pin again. I recorded the first part of this video. It feels like ages ago, so I can't even remember what I'm supposed to be doing. So it looks like they cut off quite a considerable amount of the balloon out here. Oh, actually no, hang on. I'm going to need to do the wire first. And then I just want to create some sort of like loopy bit, just so it stays within the ping pong ball. Perfect. I know I'm supposed to be doing these without instructions, but they've given us basically step-by-step instructions, and it's helping a lot.
No way, really?
It's surprising what instructions do and how helpful they are when you're trying to make something. I know this isn't the point of this series. We're supposed to be doing stuff without instructions, but I'm quite content with the instructions. What would be the opposite of the Blind Pinterest Challenge? I can see Pinterest challenge. Don't know. I just want to stick a dollop of hot glue there just to keep this in place. Maybe I should do an episode of the blind Pinterest challenge where I literally just make crafts from Pinterest with instructions. So I've got that kind of glued in place. It's still drying, but that's fine. And I want to stretch its little balloon over the top. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll wait for that to fully dry, otherwise it'll burn us. And I'm already burning. One benefit to this hot weather mind is obviously I usually blow dry my hair, and by the time it came to do something with my hair this morning, my hair was already bone dry. It literally, I stepped out the shower and it was just like poof, dry. Wrap the balloon around here. Ah, cute. And then they gather. I don't have a lot of excess balloon, mind. I'm not gonna lie. Mine's gone a bit nipply on the top, but that's alright. So we want to twist. I'm just gonna shove a little bit of glue in there and twist without burning myself. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of thread off. I want it extra tight. I'll leave them long for now. And then I'm just wondering, in their original one, did they leave the wire as wire, or did they cover the wire in string? Because you could have it like that, but that doesn't look like a balloon. It gives away the illusion because of this piece of wire here. So what happens if I just take another bit of string and try and cover this wire a little bit? Okay, I suppose we have expectation. And reality. Mine looks a bit messy. I feel like I could do a really good job of this. It just needs some finessing. I feel like I should have used white wire. I think white wire would have been better. I don't have any white wire. You could do a lot with this, obviously for model making and stuff. I also think the balloon head is just slightly too big. I don't know, maybe use something a bit smaller. I'm not sure. I suppose it depends what this is going to be part of. But I think for like a cute little balloon thing, I think that's a clever little idea, isn't it? But how much did this little balloon thing cost us? I feel like we haven't had one of these in a while. But this thing, because I'm a hoarder, cost me absolutely nothing. And to be fair, I have enough materials to make loads of these if I wanted to, because I've got a shitload of balloons for some reason, loads of wire, loads of ping pong balls. I even found some fake polystyrene strawberries that I forgot I had. So moving on to the resin flower pendant thing, I thought it would be a great idea to use a wooden disc that I already had in the studio. And in order to get the hole out of this piece of log, I just decided to drill a hole into it first. And then I recently bought this new saw, which I thought would come in handy. And this was my first time trying it out.
Oh no!
So I thought I would attempt to cut the circle out of the piece of wood. And I tried to do it kind of slapdash and clamped it to my actual table, which was a terrible idea and it wasn't going to work at all. So then I finally stopped being lazy and I got my big workbench out and fully clamped it and secured it to that in order to cut the hole out. And after much persevering and struggling, I cut the hole out. Ta-da! Yay! And now it's time to fill this hole with resin and flowers. And I just took a silicone sheet and placed the piece of log over the top of it. I then first used some UV resin and set the UV resin on the silicone sheet just so it wouldn't get stuck to anything and I could easily peel it away. And then that would also give me like a little barrier where I was able to pour more resin into. So once that layer of UV resin had set, I just added my flowers. I had to use multiple flowers because my flowers were too small or my log piece was too big. And then I just filled that with regular epoxy resin. And once I suppose I was kind of happy with it, I just let it dry and hope it was going to look alright. So we have expectation and reality, and you can see obviously that mine's massively different. I just went for the big one and compromised and put loads of little ones in. It's a different version of the original. The reason I didn't put like a necklace piece in this is because who in their right mind is going to wear this as a necklace? It is massive. Actually, you know what? Weirdly, I think I'm going to convince myself that's alright, isn't it? Imagine that like hanging down. I think that would be quite a cool necklace actually. I thought it would be a bit silly and stupid, but I don't mind it. But I also thought that would be quite nice as like a coaster or like some sort of placemat. You could do anything with it really. But for my first attempt at something like this, I think I've done an okay little job. And this only cost me about, I'd say I've used about like £5 worth of materials. Quite cheap actually for what it is. I've got loads of resin left over. Obviously I used logs I already had. I might turn that into a giant, massive necklace at some point, and I could use it as a weapon, couldn't I? Like smack people out the way. That's an idea, isn't it? So now it's time to destroy a troll doll. And I've got this one here. It actually took me ages to find a large troll doll. They all seem to be absolutely tiny, but I think this one will work quite well. Oh, it says, good luck trolls, rub my
testicles,
belly gem for good luck. What belly gem? What are you on about? Does it have a gem on it?
testicles.
The thing is, do they have to package it so like ridiculously secure? I don't think it's going to get damaged. Or are they worried it's going to run away? Right, I do need to strip you naked. I'm very sorry. Oh, you actually do have a little belly gem. Look at that. Oh, I'm gonna rub the belly gem for good luck. That looks inappropriate. I'm very sorry. Rub the belly gem for good luck. That looks naughty and dirty, and I don't feel like that should be a thing, and I felt very inappropriate doing it. Anyway, I'm gonna cut the top of your head off. I'm very sorry. Okay, fab. I've scalped it. And that's what they look like without their hair. They look a bit sad. They look a bit like a little gremlin or something, don't they? And I know in the original pin, they painted theirs. But now that mine's got this little belly gem, I'm wondering whether I've got more gems in the studio. I could bedazzle it. Oh, I want to take these off. These stupid little pink things. I didn't realise these came off. Found them. Yes, this is a fantastic idea. The problem doing something like this is I can get very carried away and end up making a mess of it. You know what, I'll go for this pink. I think this is a cute colour. And we'll just do a couple up the top. And I think that's all I want to do. Because I know if I spend too long with this, the entire thing will be covered. Not that that would be a bad thing, but I think that would be a bit too far removed from the original. What do we think of that little detail? Isn't that nice? It's cute, isn't it?
No!
You know what, I'll leave it at that. Let me know in the comments if I need to add more or not, because I'm very indecisive today. The heat's getting to us, so it's messing up my brain. I can always add more later, I've got loads if I need to. And then for the plant part, I already had these in the studio, so I thought it would be silly to buy extra bits for this. Oh, this is cute. I think mine's going to look a lot more natural than theirs, which is very surprising. I usually lean more towards the kind of garish side of life. It's very rare I'll go towards the sophisticated side of life. I'm saying sophisticated, we're talking about a little troll doll. How sophisticated can you be with a troll doll? I don't think very.
Treasure trolls are the only trolls that have a jewel in their tummy that you can wish on. What would you wish for?
I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and
these surprisingly make pretty decent plant pots. I know it's going to sound weird because inside it goes very narrow and you can really kind of wedge them and secure and you really kind of wedge them and secure them in place. The blinds are really irritating us. Really irritating us, but I'm not closing my window, I refuse. Wouldn't it be nice to live in a country where they have aircon? And I know a lot of people who don't live in the UK like wonder why we don't have aircon. We don't need it that often. Like literally we probably just need it for about like a maximum 2 weeks if we're lucky in the entire year. Then other than that we just need heating really. So that's why aircon's not particularly popular or common. Some people will have it. I'm not one of those people. One thing I do find very odd is when people will use aircon in their homes and then put like a blanket on or like put a hoodie on or something. So why not just turn your aircon off? You're making your house too cold to then have to put more clothing on top. Just turn your aircon off and then you'll warm up. It would be a similar situation to putting your heating on and then being like, oh, I'm so hot, I'm gonna put my shorts on. Turn your heating off. Okay, I think I'm done with mine. So we have expectation and reality. And you know what? I actually really like mine. And I don't know whether this is sad, but I think this is one of the best things I've made in a very long time. I don't know whether I like the gems. I wish it didn't have gems actually. It doesn't really go with what I've done at the top. And the best thing with something as stupid as this is you could literally make it any way you want to. You can add loads of different flowers. I think I like this one as well because it's still got that troll hair vibe, doesn't it? It's still got that movement. Oh. Aren't you cute? What shall we name you? Glob. We'll call you Glob. Oh, our cute little Glob. So how much did Glob cost me? Surprisingly, Glob was very expensive and all I had to buy was actual Glob. And they were $11.99. $11.99 for a troll doll. They shouldn't be that expensive at all. It should be about £3. $11.99. It's because of the belly gem, isn't it?
What would you wish for?
That's what like ups the price. But hopefully I'm gonna get lots of good luck because I've rubbed Glob's gem belly.
You filthy little bitch.
And finally moving on to our last project, and that's obviously the little cute painting. So I've cut down a piece of paper here and basically just want to paint an imaginary landscape, I suppose. I think with something like this you can obviously play around and do whatever you want to do. I think with this kind of painting as well, it just needs to be like a little rough thing. I don't think they're really looking for like modern art, just like a little cute whimsical painting in a little frame just to hang on your wall. And also I'm struggling a little bit today, not because of the heat, well, the heat, obviously. But I've been doing more viewings on more houses. I saw 3 yesterday.
Oh, and that area over there would be a lovely place for a kitchen.
And I think what's the most like disappointing thing about the entire thing is this house that I saw online, I should say. I had a very strong feeling that it was going to be the house. You know, the one that like you fall in love with, and that was going to be the house that you want, because it had loads of character. It even had like gorgeous stained glass windows. It was a bit oldie but also had like modern features. It had loads of space too. Didn't have really any outside space or anything like that, which I wasn't particularly bothered about. So I was really excited. I'd already kind of planned what I would do with the place in my head and stuff. And when I went to view it, it just was not what I was expecting at all.
You've got beautiful doors, lovely big open spaces. I mean, look at this for a kitchen.
Well, there were a lot of things that kind of put me off. Not specifically with the house, but mainly with the area and other things, if that makes sense. And what I found the most disappointing about the entire thing is obviously this property's been on the market for years and years and years. It's been on for a very long time. And when I went there and viewed this lovely house with old features and stained glass windows and stuff, it'd been vandalised. So the windows had been smashed, the place was in disrepair, it had so much damp, the front door had been smashed in, the front gate had been ripped off, and this wasn't in the pictures online. It really, really angered us because you could tell this house was just not being looked after properly, and it really, really infuriated us because you could imagine that house at one time in life would have been a lovely home. So I was just really upset. And some people might be saying, well, you know, you can get it still and do it up and stuff. There's certain other elements to the kind of situation, I'll say, that just wouldn't be ideal. And quite frankly, if kids are throwing rocks through your windows of like empty properties and stuff, it doesn't really give a good indication of what the area is actually going to be like, does it? And although I want my own property, I don't want chew. I just want a simple life. I want to be left alone. I don't really know what I'm doing with this paint, and it doesn't look like anything, does it? It'll come alive at some point, I hope. I'll tell you what, we'll add some flowers. Flowers always rescues things, doesn't it? I don't really know what flowers I'm actually painting here. I'm just doing like little dotty dots. Because I think the original anyway, it was quite abstract, wasn't it? It wasn't particularly figurative or anything. Okay, I think I'm done with my little painting. So, I need to make a frame. I think this is going to be a relatively easy frame. And by the looks of things, you want it to look a little bit, not necessarily like slapdash, but you want it to look rustic. And just put some hot glue just straight onto the paper and then shove our stick down. I think this is what they've done. And do it to the other side, and then just a bit of hot glue on the corners and stick another one down. Same on the bottom. And then we're gonna measure this one a little bit more, because this is going to create like this window effect, hopefully. And I think by the looks of things, they've used thinner ones for this bit, and they went under like that. Tell you what, I think these are overlapping too much. I think that's what's throwing us off. I'm cutting these down a bit. I have no idea where that went. Do we think I should have some extra over the top? Something's not feeling quite right there. I'm going to stick these over the top. I don't know, there's something not quite right with it. It's looking flat. I think it needs just a bit more stick here, just to make it look a bit more like a window. And then we'll just get a bit of yarn, and I think I'm just going to tie it around here. Okay, I think I'm quite happy with that. So we have expectation and reality. I think I've done an okay little job. I do think it looks a bit like a window. The only issue is, I have a feeling I need something a bit more on the side. The side's ruining it for us. You know when you feel like there's something a little bit off? I don't know what it is, but there's something just not quite right with it. I can't tell though. Works a lot better on camera than it does in person. In person, it's given a bit flattish. It doesn't really give window, but I still think it's a very cute idea, and you can do a lot with this again. And better yet, this cost me absolutely nothing. 2 in 1 video. It's a rarity because I usually end up spending a shitload of money on craft supplies. Anyway, I think that just about does it for today's episode of the Blind Pinterest Challenge. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next week for a brand new video. I am cutting it short, and I'm sorry if this video has been a bit of a chewy one, but it's been really hard to record. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm sure everyone knows, and knows the feeling of when you're at work, or when you're at home, or wherever, and you're just too hot, and you can't cool down. That's what it's like today. I'm going to take my t-shirt off.
It's kind of sexy.
I'm going to take my shorts off.
Very sexy.
I potentially might even take my boxers off.
Disgusting!
And just spray myself with cold water. I don't know what I prefer. Do I prefer to be too hot or too cold? You know what I don't like either? I like being medium. That's what I like. I like medium.